Hello, my name is Masa Welch, and today I want to present the role of motivation in the academic achievement of gifted and talented students. These are the explicit implications for educators. The focus of the presentation is to empower educators to understand and fulfill the needs of gifted and talented students so that the students can realize their full academic potential and live fulfilling lives. The purpose of the presentation is to inform educators about the importance of implementing instructional practices that foster motivation and creativity, prevent underachievement, and meet the social, emotional, and academic needs of gifted and talented students. Motivation is one of the most important features of achievement. McNaught describes the concept of motivation as task commitment, persistence, intrinsic interest, challenge seeking, passion to learn, or effort expenditure. McNaught also defines it as a difference between potential and performance, which can be especially large in gifted students. Many researchers see motivation as defining component of giftedness, but McNabb acknowledges that high ability does not guarantee high achievement, just as giftedness does not guarantee gifted behavior. Self determination theory, or SDT, is one of the theories of motivation that can be applied to understanding the needs of gifted students. In SDT, Ryan and Deci emphasize three basic psychological needs: competence, which is achieving mastery of task, autonomy, which is owning choices and actions, and relatedness, being connected to others. Conditions that support these needs lead to the most volitional and high quality forms of motivation and engagement for activities, including enhanced performance, persistence, and creativity. The theory distinguishes between intrinsic motivation, which involves doing a task because it is in itself rewarding or enjoyable, and extrinsic motivation, which involves doing a task for its instrumental value or a reward. The concept of motivation can be applied to students' attitudes and perceptions of learning. Here, I want to emphasize the importance of teachers providing the students with autonomy in learning. According to Ryan and Deci, intrinsic motivation is a critical element in cognitive, social, and physical development because it is through acting on one's inherent interests that one grows in knowledge and skills. Siegel and McCoach provide practical intrinsic motivation tips to teachers, such as learning about students' interests and integrating them into instruction, offering students authentic choices in learning and showing mastery, optimally challenging students, and building opportunities for immediate feedback into classroom activities. While intrinsic motivation is considered ideal, it is widely acknowledged that it becomes weaker as a child grows and is increasingly required to assume responsibilities for tasks that are not inherently rewarding. According to Ryan and Deci, although extrinsic motivation involves doing a task for its instrumental value, it can greatly vary in the degree to which it is autonomous. Siegel and McCoach state that students see utility in tasks that are important to their future or their pursuit of other goals. Ryan and Deci give an example of a student who does the work because she personally believes in its value for her chosen career. This example shows that extrinsic motivation can involve personal endorsement and a feeling of choice, and not just compliance with external control. Students can accept the value or utility of a task and perform it with a sense of autonomy or personal choice. Since not all academic tasks are inherently interesting or enjoyable, educators cannot fully rely on their students' intrinsic motivation to learn. Therefore, it is important for educators to learn how to promote the form of extrinsic motivation that is not controlling, but instead gives students a sense of ownership of their learning. Siegel and McCoach explain that when educators help students see beyond the immediate activity to the long term benefits it produces, they can answer the common question: why do we have to study this? Siegel and McCoach further suggest that teachers should explicitly explain the purpose of lessons and assignments at the beginning of each unit. Educators should strive to motivate students to value and self regulate tasks that are not inherently interesting and to carry them out to their own without external pressure. SDT addresses this issue in terms of fostering the internalization and integration of values and behavior regulations. Organismic integration theory, developed by Ryan and Deci, states that autonomy and relatedness are critical to internalization. Therefore, it is important for educators to support student autonomy by giving them choices and to develop positive relationships with their students based on respect and care. This strategy is likely to increase students' willingness to accept classroom values and instruction and foster motivation. Next, I want to describe the optimal learning environment that satisfies the social, emotional, and academic needs of gifted students. Heller discusses a supportive, creative, and stimulating learning environment established by successful, effective teachers who demonstrate a more positive attitude towards especially capable children and adolescents. These teachers have a high level of flexibility and a more accepting approach to the individual differences among students. Heller emphasizes the importance of independent learning as opposed to material in the form of a fully structured product. This suggests that teachers should provide students with time and space to work independently in their own way. Heller also states that in order for learning tasks to be challenging to highly gifted students, they must be vaguely defined or open in order to provoke divergent and complex reasoning. Lim and the Keleta Mullet describe creative classroom environments which include time for students to incubate ideas, physical spaces for quiet thinking, brainstorming, and research. Such environments afford intellectual safety, opportunities for debate, and constructive mentoring and peer relationships. Underachievement is a motivational problem caused by endogenous factors such as external locus of control and worsened by inadequate instructional practices. McNutt points out that even though gifted students prefer independent mastery of knowledge, many teachers do not support the students' need for autonomy in the classroom. This might lead to becoming disengaged and bored, which some students express through misbehavior. Negative reactions from teachers reinforce the child's perception that his or her needs are unreasonable. McNabb explains that even when teachers do provide challenging curriculum and encourage academic excellence, many high ability students exhibit low effort, challenge avoidance, unreasonably low or unreasonably high self expectations, low persistence at difficult tasks, or lack of joy in learning. These behaviors reflect lack of intrinsic motivation and are considered maladaptive or helpless. McNabb refers to the concept of locus of control to explain the difference between adaptive and maladaptive academic behaviors. Students with internal locus of control take more responsibility for their behavior, while students with external locus of control do not acknowledge the relationship between what they do and what happens to them. Underachieving students often have external locus of control and exhibit low confidence in their ability even following a success. They may exhibit learned helplessness as they see poor academic performance as outside of their control due to low ability. Therefore, they're likely to give up easily, avoid challenges, and dislike school. This is in contrast to students who maintain high expectations for success since they believe that they can improve through their own effort. McNabb explains that locus of control depends on person's reinforcement history. There are concerns that even though incentives might be effective in motivating performance, once they're gone, motivation will disappear because the intrinsic drive is damaged by the use of incentives. McNabb points out that while there is still disagreement about appropriate use of rewards, some students become underachievers because they lose sense of control over their own learning. Carasoli et al. Question a general view that incentives and intrinsic motivation are incompatible and claim that both predict performance. They found that while intrinsic motivation was a better predictor of quality of performance, extrinsic rewards were a better predictor of quantity of performance. Teachers and and parents should think about how they give praise to students as it may have many different unintended consequences, including perfectionism. McNabb suggests that praise and other rewards should be given only to reinforce behaviors that are not already rewarding. Teachers should help students recognize the intrinsic reward of working on a challenging task. Praise that relates to personal traits such as intelligence, can lead students to equate their self worth with their achievements. Mofield et al. Explained that this can lead to maladaptive perfectionism, a quality very common in gifted students. To avoid this, praise should be based on process instead of product or performance outcome. Feedback and praise based on process allows for adjustment, improvement, and continued growth instead of supporting maladaptive, perfectionistic thoughts. McNabb adds that teachers should encourage self assessment rather than external evaluation, occasionally sacrifice accuracy for risk taking, and help students to see the relationship between their effort and outcomes. Although there is no one ideal approach for reversing underachievement, the trifocal model by Sylvia Rim has been successful across a variety of cases. Rim's trifocal model is based on collaboration among the student, school, and family. Rim addresses the needs of underachieving students in a holistic manner and states that revising underachievement is about guiding children toward leading fulfilling lives. As you can see in the figure, it includes 6 steps. The first 5 steps apply to all underachieving students. The last step is branched so that specific modifications for specific types of underachievers can be used to target certain behavior patterns. The first step, assessment, determines what type of underachiever the student is, the reasons for underachievement, and the degree of underachievement. This evidence is communicated to the student, parents, and teachers. The aim of this second step is open and honest communication with the student's goals in mind. Next, the student is informed that the expectations are changing, the behavior must be adjusted, and that gradual improvement will be expected. The fourth step is particularly important and it involves introducing the achieving role model into the student's life. The student might have been underachieving for a long time and therefore skill deficiencies might need to be addressed. The use of tutors and specialized instruction should be used to catch up the students with their peers. The final step is the plan for modifications at home and at school, which depend on the type of underachievement and the level of involvement at home. The Alliance acrostic presented here briefly summarizes the strategies that can be used for revising underachievement. This quote by E. Paul Torrance can be found in Galbraith's and Delisle's book, When Gifted Kids Don't Have All the Answers: How to Meet Their Social and Emotional Needs. It states, what is underachiever made of? An unexpressed idea, an unpainted picture, an unsung song, a safely hidden poem, unused talent. These make an underachiever. Galbraith and Delisle distinguish between underachievement and selective consumerism and suggest strategies for reversing both patterns. They point out that underachievement is tied intimately to self image development. A student adopts a deprecating attitude as they place self-imposed limits on what is possible. They write off success as lucky accidents, while low grades or achievement reinforce negative perceptions about themselves. They have a low self image of being weak in academics, and therefore their initiative to change or accept challenge is limited. Galbraith and Delisle distinguish this type of true underachiever from a selective consumer who is adept at taking the best from what school and teachers have to offer and leaving the rest behind. Galbraith and Delisle refer to the work of Joanne R. Whitmore, Giftedness, Conflict, and Underachievement, to offer strategies for both underachievers and selective consumers. These three types of strategies, supportive, intrinsic, and remedial, are introduced in this table. Supportive strategies affirm the worth of the child in the classroom and convey the promise of greater potential and success yet to be discovered and enjoyed. Intrinsic strategies are designed to develop intrinsic achievement motivation through the child's discovery of rewards available as a result of efforts to learn, achieve, and contribute to the group. Remedial strategies are employed to improve the student's academic performance in an area of learning in which he or she has evidenced difficulty learning, has expressed a sense of failure, and has become unmotivated to engage in learning tasks. Galbraith and Delisle also point out studies published over the past decades in the United States, notably A Notion Deceived, how schools hold back America's brightest students, focusing especially on infrequent use of acceleration in America's schools. Galbraith and Delisle emphasize the enormous cost to our country, our communities, and our children of clinging to the idea that all children are better off with children who match them in age. A decade later, a follow up report was published, A Nation Empowered: Evidence Trumps Excuses Holding Back America's Brightest Students, which supports the benefits of academic acceleration. In this report, Rogers states that all types of acceleration produce substantial academic achievement, increased academic engagement in schools, as well as social emotional gains for gifted students. This finding by Rogers helps overcome the myth of social maladjustment and psychological problems which deter educators from considering more bright students for some type of acceleration. My hope is that this presentation enhanced your understanding of motivation as one of the most important aspects of achievement. It is meant to guide you to better maximize motivation by developing an optimal learning environment and employing instructional practices that improve academic performance, prevent or reverse underachievement, and satisfy the social, emotional, and academic needs of gifted students. I thank you very much for your time.